Review and correction Thursday. Monday I gave an opinion. If it makes sense, if it made still makes sense for you to apply in your personal life or someone else in the near future, great. If it doesn't, ignore. And then Tuesday I spoke about the scripture. There's a portion of it in the scripture in Revelations that spoke about now God's home will be with human beings and he will live with them and amongst them. Now thinking about it clearly, doesn't it remind you about the Genesis there? There's a similarity to Genesis, but with Genesis, remember that uh, Adam and Eve happened in the garden. But it's seeming like there's a continual refinement. The time we're in, I don't know if it's the ultimate refinement, but it seems like ever since the garden, there's a continual refinement that human beings go through. I mean, you see, for example, when a child is born, still that procedure, the blood, they lose blood. See how in the previous years people have been passing on the pandemic, the this, the that, and even though the moments are trying, yet they are refining. They form bases or they form part of the process of refining, because when it says after the scripture of the new heaven and the new earth, it's almost like it speaks about light shining through, like transparency, just like in Genesis, that when God said let there be light, like the transparency it would. So to sum it up and make it very concise, it seems like there will come a time that there has been so many things that have refracted the light, the knowledge of God's will or for mankind and whatnot. It has refracted and been distracted by so many things that human beings will be refined to a thought or frequency of light, of knowledge that will dawn on them to function once more in a very pleasing way towards God, right? So human beings will get to that state again. I don't know if it's just the church or like human beings holistically, but they'll get to that point again where they are pleasing unto God. Yeah. And I think greatly it seems like the knowledge they will be having, or the light, yes, the knowledge they will be having, it's in relation to themselves, interacting with God first, with themselves as human beings amongst themselves and nature. So it seems like these are just a holistic imbalance. It's not enough that a few should get it, because it's pointless if others are doing it right or get the way or get how things should be, and others are not seeing it. It's still, there's an imbalance, right? So basically, this refinement will bring about human beings. This new world is a new mindset. It's a new, if you could put it that way, in a much more understandable way. It's like a very updated software within human beings to refunction in a way that they were intended to function in the world, is in relation to nature itself, human beings themselves, and most importantly, God. So, yeah, it'll just be a world on levels, I guess. Yeah. Someone might think of it like a very obvious topic, like was it really necessary that you should speak about a potential investor and what a person should look out for? Like seriously, like there was a period in time where color was just a problem, right? So now imagine problem, like sometimes it could just okay, fine. Now imagine like colors were just irritating to people. Some people will still want to uphold it, but it's just too old. It's gotten very boring. Color was a thing. Like, I don't get why people be aggravated by color, but sometimes you do meet individuals where, imagine now they have not invested in you, and you are deliberately feeling like you're being irritated. Like, you could be, what if, like, I, I said once, I don't know where was it, and I was like, um, you deliberately feeling like you're irritated. Like, these people who are just, who've been through a lot, they got the cash and everything, but they just sensitive of, you say certain words in a certain tone, it could serve as a reminder for someone who's just put them through a lot, and they start thinking you know all sorts of things that you don't. It's almost a paranoia, and it's something that's psychological or something that's within. You can't help them unless they help themselves or get over the whole ordeal of whatever they've been through. So almost you could be offensive with any and everything, really. And you don't want to take such a person off. They invested in you, so you are literally subjected to them, and it's not safe, and it's not a safe move. If you can go away from them in a sense that things are not good between you, they could get you blacklisted, or the worst could happen. So it is very important. Don't take lightly what I say. This is very, I've observed certain things in hindsight, and I've come to see that there's just so many dynamics, and the art of just getting successful, its complexities are just endless. They vast, and these are the very things, the nitty gritties that you need to be aware of to master and endure against all odds. If you really want to get there, it gets to that point where some people would want to be addressed a certain way. You could be calling them ma'am or sir, you could offend them, or you could call them by the name and pronounce it just sideways, also in a kind of way that it doesn't sound the way. You could just lose out on something in the moment, or they get angry. These things are tricky. These things are very tricky. But if you are humble, you have that threshold to endure, and you're not very outspoken, you know, or maybe you know how to address an issue that was displeasing to you in such a manner that they would receive the message, even though they knew that this was supposed to take you off. They would receive a message in such a way they're not feeling offensive, but rather see it as an outcry that needs attention and needs to be resolved. Um, yeah. So, guys, that's it for this week. Till next month, November. Okay, but Monday is the 31st. So till then, just on the extra side, I can get a bit extra. Firstly, don't try to figure out, maybe she's like caught up in such a thing. That's not the important thing here. The important thing is to grasp the lesson. And secondly, I put up names of people's YouTubes and whatnot, hoping that I would put them up and someone would will connect the dots for me, because I'm trying to figure out myself and the dynamics of my life to see what is what, because I have to figure it out clearly. And I could have, relatives to which I think I do from the kind of music I play, whether Angola, whether Mozambique, I do actually. So I'm trying to figure out things about me, or I'm attracted to those things because they are part of me somehow. So yeah, it's not about anyone. My sincerest of apologies for the late post. Yeah, I dozed off. And then only to wake up in the morning and realize that there's no electricity. So yeah, this is like the Woman Case Wednesday late post. So yeah, it's a random thing, really nothing new. Like, we've all had been at that point or phase in our lives where we wanted something and we were like praying, like it depends what background or what's your faith or what your belief is. You normally pray and you want assistance with certain things, and obviously if you're praying you're hoping that like kinds of people would be the one to assist, but honestly, in honest truth, it's not always the case, unfortunately. Besides praying, like when you aspiring for something or you have a certain objective in mind of having to achieve something, like I said, it's not always the case. Like in most cases, many Christians are just recently getting that wake up call. Like 1.5 out of 5 Christians are still getting the hang of it. They are the ones who've gotten the hang of it or are successful, but it's still not enough people. Whereas those would consider of the article the worldly are more prosperous. So clearly, honestly speaking, frankly speaking, fact based speaking, frankly speaking, it's not a Christian that can be of much assistance. So now, who do we like? Who would you now or consider, and what kind of a very crucial yet a very tricky subject matter? Very crucial yet very tricky. But you know, some principles, like I think the kind of people now you would otherwise next to Christians revert to, because these people do exist in a worldly sense, but they are like they are aligned with Christian beliefs but are not obvious in practice. Like for example, like we have the book like The Secret, like these certain principles that like are parallel to what is in the Bible. So like people who are like that, who are practicing, you can see this person, like their works speak for themselves. The fruit of their works will speak for themselves, and those are the kind of people you could otherwise revert to. This is me kind of solving, not only complaining. So these are the human beings close to Christians you can consider. And I've read a couple of books where sometimes, you know, like I once said this, but I get this the first time on this app or social media platform. I've said I'm going to say it, is that you remember when you used to play like games back in your childhood, that you'd get that you'd play fairly, but then maybe a certain person is just always kind of winning, and then it gets like irritating, and then the other one loses, and you know, in the moment of just not being able to take it anymore, it just ends up as a fight, you know, because another cannot handle the other winning type of thing. So I've read a book once, and someone was like, how they test a person's temperaments or character out, they would take them out on a game of I forgot what sport it is, and then they actually get to see how they react. You can just somehow revert to such um you can revert to such techniques or tactics or strategies to in a frame of time to observe a person and their character, and if they're worthy of of engaging in a long-term business proposal, any kind of agreement, partnership agreement. So that's about it really. Christians are getting a wake-up call. You need the solution, you need it now, you need to manifest it now. What to do? What are the next sensible kind of people to suss out? These are the kind of people. Now, how do you test that? What kind of character of a human being are you dealing with? Go about it in different ways. You can take them for lunch, or let yourself be invited by them to their place to eat, and see if you know those kind of dynamics, those little things. Work it out. So basically just get creative with it, work around it, make it work for you, make it personal, make it work for you, make it, you know, portable for you to work with. Just make it work for you, right? But if you want to play with the top people in the game of the marketplace, great. It's even way better when you know what you're getting yourself into, but just make sure you're steadfast and anchored, because it's not going to be an easy journey. Yeah, I'm just guiding, really, giving a very, like, I'm giving like the structure to it, but you lay the bricks and you know, make it work for you. And yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. If you believe you can, then you can. So all the best with that. So I had posted this last year, December, right? And it's on 1 Corinthians 13. What I know now is only partial, but it shall be complete as God's knowledge of me. That was the tip I'm on. And now going into the topic I'm about to go into. But like just briefly, the 3D and 5D world. I guess that was, I was seeing the completion of Earth in its last phase of like the 9 months, right? And it, like Earth being on 9 months, about to rebirth itself, like a new Earth is like about to be rebirthed, like, you know, like going through childbirth, like the rebirth. I mean, the blood moons are also part of this, and that maybe could be the reason why we see it manifesting on Earth as just a whole lot of changes happening, loss, and all those kind of things. These are part of this very change. Yes, you can look this up. There's a lady, is it Donna somewhere? Yeah, she spoke about this. You can look it up, you know, read more on it. 3D, 5D world, Earth. The new heaven and the new earth. It just hit me differently. Like, it just came to me differently. It's really what I've just spoken about. I saw a new heaven and new earth. It's like a child just being born, and their head comes out. New heaven, new earth. The head, then body. The first heaven and the first earth disappeared. It's like being within the womb of the mom, you know, and the body. It disappeared, it goes out, and the sea vanished. You know, the water comes out, isn't it? When the woman is about to give birth and whatnot, they're removed from the amniotic fluid as we would know it. And I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, like a baby, like it's finally out, coming out of heaven from God, prepared and ready like a bride dressed to meet her husband. Like, you know, when the baby's out of the womb, they've got those white stuff all over them and whatnot. Heard a loud voice, and they usually cry out, speaking from the throne. Now God's home is with human beings. He will live with them, and they shall be his people. It's like now the process of the baby being born, they're crying, and it's like finally the baby's here. Maybe the naming is about to be given, and this child, what they would represent in their life, just like what I knew. I said the other time, I knew you before you were born, while you're in your mom's womb. Like, they're attaching this child to a certain role, to a certain, but this child, it seems like it's a boy, and it's like gonna connect to wealth, some sort of wealth. You know, when you read further on the scripture, I'll put it up. When you read further on the scriptures, they're attached to a holy city, you know, of made of like the description jasper and what they are. You can tell that this child is from a wealthy family, or they're attached to a promise that is connected to a wealth or something that contains those stones that are mentioned, the building of something. They're attached to an assignment of some sort. And it says, he will wipe away the tears from their eyes. You know, usually the baby cries out, and eventually they wipe their tears and they bring them to the mom's chest and whatnot. There will be no more death, no more grief or crying or pain. The old things have disappeared. Like, usually, yes, in the process of childbirth, I'd like to believe like there's a uncertainty. I mean, you're about to give birth to life. There's a huge uncertainty, and usually it comes across that this is it. But then once the child is born, you are reassured that you've brought life into the earth, and yours is still there. You know what I mean? So also for the mom, it's a relief. The child is here, they're still well, and whatnot. That's amazing. And then, as you can see there, it's the separations of the two. I think this is the process that we are in, and in turn, we are feeling it, and it's heavy on us as human beings. You know, like there's just the separation of the letting go of so many things, the old self. Others, as you can see, people are renovating homes, people are studying anew, building anew. So it's a different kind of letting go. There's a separation, and the separation of the old and new is not. It's usually not the easiest of transformation or evolution to bring about, but it's time for it to happen, and it has to happen, and it is what it is. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this for now. But this is just mind-boggling. It's happening, and it's amazing, and yet it's strange, it's scary, it's beautiful, it's just amazing. So 3D, 5D world, that's it, the new version. And whenever something is birthed, it's always the next version of something. So that's why I've said also before that it might be a trying time and all, and it might seem like it's like this is it, but the new that's coming, it's gonna be even greater. Whoa. I don't know if I'm the only one, but that lesson that adulthood keeps throwing at me is that once you want something, or once you want to communicate or express a thought, whatever the intentions may be, where expressing oneself is that you always have to be clear. You could actually be saying something that you actually do not want and attract the very thing. So it seems like you have to just cut out what you don't want out of the equation of having to express yourself, and just state what you want and what your direct intention and motive is. Isn't that kind of tricky? And then flip side, another weird thought. I mean, I can't relate that much as yet, but like something like came across my mind, and it might be silly, but I might have a point, you know. Or rather, let me just put it out this way. Like, imagine a future where people started, okay, depending on the family dynamics and structures of different homes or households, but imagine if, but I think it would be better. Imagine if, like, children would have, like, youth would have children from, like, in their teens, even though it would be inconveniencing, but wouldn't you think that is best? Because adulthood's dynamics are just something else. Like, you could go work, and then someone would just love you to a degree that they are so obsessed with you that you can't be with someone, or sometimes they're just so jealous of you, but that maybe these things that delays the fact of being with a specific person. And then in the midst of that, if they see that maybe you're gaining, or you think, like, they thinking you're pregnant, it's like they terminate, or cause miscarriages, or other same sexes tend to be obsessed with each other. And it seems like, do, like, guys, like, you know, like, where does a woman fit in? Sometimes that's how I feel. Even women can be so obsessed with another woman to that degree. It's crazy, you know. Like, don't you think it would be better than everything that's like the nitty gritty? Is not that they should have many all at once, but like, to start off, so someone gets it, that already they accept the fact that you probably with someone, or you settled, or whatever the case may be. Adulthood gets so flippin' complicated unnecessarily. Like, what used to be simple gets so complicated. You know, sometimes some people would have thought, whichever elder once told me or hinted at me to have a child while still growing up, maybe they wanted to destroy my future plans. But maybe it's because of these dynamics. People get so hung up on people and obsessed with people that they don't allow them to be. Yeah, grown up life is just a bit too much at times, and a bit tricky. And worst of all, you know, like, usually the people who get obsessed are usually someone in command of a not hierarchy as such, but could even be of top management, who knows? Or they're usually money, like they usually are the people who controls the doorways, the barricades, whether the boom gate or whatever to go up or down. You know, they're in charge of access at the very vital things that you need to sustain yourself in adulthood. It gets crazy. I don't understand like how life is, but it is what it is, you know. I, mm-mm. Or if maybe now it's a family that knows they can fend, no one is gonna come into my like home or kids and be like, hey, you know, I'm obsessed and whatnot, kind of tendencies. I can have that under control. They can go through school and everything, you know, with all the right timings or within the right timings. It will not be a problem. Then it means that when you get someone, maybe sometimes not all the time, but most of the time, you should be with them. Then, you know, for some people not to find excesses of gaining that control or accessing that presence to be that individual's presence to be obsessed or something. There's just a certain kind of obsession, guys. It gets out of control, it gets scary, it gets dangerous. Yeah, it's crazy, 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 very crazy. Honestly, bottom line is that such a person really does not like you. I don't know what kind of like or what kind of love is that. I mean, if you love someone, if you're obsessed with someone, it could be a known or unknown, whatever the case may be. Like if someone puts you in that position, they don't like you under any circumstances. They just want to cause confusion in your life because they're not coming forward and say, I like you, I want to settle down with you. But they just having jealousy tendencies, and it's like, where is it leading? And sometimes it's even worse when they hide behind people and make it seem like it's not them, but it's them. And you know what I mean? And sometimes, usually, it could be a family member that's just trying to delay you, and with the thought of that it's someone else when it's not. You know what I mean? It's crazy what people do. Like, people have very creative ways of destroying people in adulthood. Sometimes, you know, you could be flattered, but time, you know, time. You're not getting any younger. It got very personal. Clearly, it's very obvious, right? Yes, because certain people, I don't have their numbers, but they are actually looking at my videos. So that's the only means of contact I wish to have. Because, yeah, some things really get to you as a person. It really gets to you. And, yo, it messes things up. And I'm online, right? I'm being watched. Like I say, I've been through the most that I've been through the most, where I found her. I've helped someone from Lord knows where. And I get grace from them in terms of whatever things or favors or benefits, in a sense of people replicating my image, believing like, yo, she's like good, she's point on, stuff like that. Like I get that kind of recognition and stuff like that. People are seeing me, I'm online, then they want to revert back to, no, it's gonna seem like we are lies. They are watching. Exactly, they're watching. They're not saying anything should happen that is negative. Someone wants to revert back to that excuse so that they can activate what the evil they want to do. People are using people's images. If people's images that I've not met, like if they hear something that, okay, this is a doorway, you could use this, they revert back to someone's image that I don't remember even taking off. And they'd be like, this person says you talk too much. This person says, people I don't talk to, they are fighting their battles or whatever insecurities behind a person whom I don't even associate with. They're not even angry at me, but I've come to notice that these patterns could come as a result of this person being connected to that one. It's crazy. Like, people aren't fighting my battles, and we have different ways of dealing. At least I don't go to another and stress people and hang on to people for dear life. This is my way of sanity, besides dancing or whatever, music or whatever. This is my sanity. It's better that way than people who just come into people's life and just drag them down and do all sorts of things, killing themselves or whatever the reason might be. This is sanity. This is sanity. It's personal. It has to get personal. Can some people recognize that some people's parents invested in their own children with a reason, because they had an aim that if I'm going to have this child, this is what I'm planning for this child, or this is what I'm hoping to get this child to achieve, so that to bask in the rewards of such a thing. And then someone comes with their own ideology of their own home or their their mess of a situation. Not that you don't have any mess, but you've just somehow made a sense of your own mess, and they just come in and they make. Some of our parents invested in us. So if someone feels like, my child, they'll be better off. I mean, I can't stand to see you being all miss this, miss that, while my child has to watch on. And it's almost a personal thing. I mean, you had your choice. You took whatever choice you took for your child. There is a result why they are at the state that they're in because of the choices you made. Be honest. There's nothing worse like seeing a parent who was once supportive become a character of something, of some mentality that they are not. It's very easy to see when your parent is influenced into things that they wouldn't otherwise opt or agree into. It's like you have to go down or suffer the consequences of another home which you don't even understand what brought them to that point. You're not dealing with the same kind of problems. If you want to help out, but like you can't just now want to change the whole dynamic of a person's family or their goals on the basis of what you feel you're going through. It's not fair. But life is not fair, and some of these things you're not going to cry over. You have to solve in the moment. You have to think on your feet in the moment, or else I'm telling you, such people can win over you because their excuses, their reasoning, their efforts, they are so on point. It's that hectic, very much hectic. And you see that they have them where they want them. When you start seeing that they are so convicted by this thing, they're starting to believe it now. They're starting to believe it. They're starting to actually like see it the way they see it. That's the danger zone. That means they almost have them where they want them. Like such an insecurity. So someone literally wakes up every day and think, how am I going to destroy such a person? It's another day, another opportunity. Instead of living and being grateful for a present of a life, no, I have to figure out how I'm going to make this person miserable as I am. We're all miserable because life is happening. Like I've said, the city is just in a state. But some people are just extra, unnecessarily. No, man. Nuh-uh. Hey. Hey. Some people know. You know what I mean? As a person. So these kind of things, like dynamics, human dynamics, you have to be aware that I'm a human. I go through these different dynamics, although I am God-fearing, and I'm just recognizing that I'm not what I am as a result of self. There's something greater, there's something higher, there's something much more powerful. That's the only difference. I'm human and I'm here to live. Somewhere along the videos, my thought train got lost. Yeah, I was busy saying, someone once said, I think it's someone I relate to, cousin or something, once said, you have just a way of making things look very simple. And it's like, why share? Or, some people think that you have to package yourself and whatnot. And yeah, they're right. You have to package yourself. I mean, you're taking your time, you're taking your efforts, you're taking your skills, your intellectual property, and just putting it out there, right? But as we've all heard, it was said you should be willing to do something that you love without getting paid, so that when you've refined and you're actually excellent at it and someone actually now wants to start paying for it, then you should be at a standard that is of quality, right? So how would you now get there if you do not practice, or you do not get yourself doing it most of the time? And my take with all of this is that it's practice. What I've given is not even that much. Even if someone can attain that much, they took their own brain to actually formulate whatever solution or greatness, or lead themselves to greatness. It's them. But if they were inspired by me, great. Bless the Lord for that. And Cappy, thank yous will do. So I'm practicing. I'm making it familiar territory to solve things. So some days, the way I'm practicing, some days I'll solve something worth Lord knows how much, and it'll be a set time for me to actually execute it. Do you understand? So as people must get ourselves doing what we love on a regular basis, refining, honing the skill. It'll pay off. You'll be rewarded for it. Someday you'll thank yourself later for it in life. And now the thing is, you would have enjoyed what you enjoyed, the seasons that you've enjoyed. And then s- comes the problem, or you stumble upon this kind of issue. Right now, more than ever, people are facing, like I've been saying, people are facing a lot. People, some people cannot process. They hate this very moment. They know about it. They hate it with everything. They latch on it, grab a hold of people for dear life. And what happens is that some people, like I said, there's parents who are familiar with this money making game and whatnot of life, and they've banked quite a lot. And what's happening is that if they feel that maybe their child is just behaving, because like I said, we are like the reflections of who we were made by, right? Some children are like typical tendencies are like of their parents. Now parents are feeling like they're finding themselves on levels and degrees, so others are like, I'm tired of this child. Do you understand? And now it's a matter of a group effort, where some feel the need to just now involve different people, not even safe experiences the same kind of situation, no, like just anyone really that anything of the sort can make sense to, like, let's go as a group effort, let's just give them away as a group of, like, seriously, like some of us have enjoyed, some of us are not treating our parents that the same way, and if you're not, they actually activate or build up this kind of vibe so that you end up actually on the same note, so that it can make sense that you see it's not working. It's crazy what people do. It's crazy what people do. People have lost that, like, literally. And so now imagine you have endured. Now I see why sometimes you have to live life in the now. I mean, if this kind of people come into your life and you're not even aware, that means some, have you heard of or seen a situation where you felt like people or someone or an individual died before their time kind of situation? Sometimes it's as a result of such thing. Now it's like I wanna like release what I feel like I've been like delaying, and what I've accrued. I wanna now release it. And now, like, I don't want my own child to be the one that goes alone. I wanna just involve people. And it's like, no, some of us have enjoyed what we've enjoyed. And people come in the reason strategically, like it's all strategic, and it's like, do you mind? So like, so obviously if you realize or recognize this kind of problems, you have to get people's parents thinking creatively. Like, can't they go see a shrink? Can't you take them wherever to just help with their behavior, or cut them some slack, or get them to travel and clear their minds maybe, or keep a distance, live, you know what I mean, like apart from each other for a while and get a break or something. But we have to help these kind of parents get creative, because if not, it gets on that note where now people thinking, yeah, they think like they have to now convince your parents that it's like your time to shine, your time. I mean, you've sacrificed a lot for this child and whatnot. Exactly, because it was meant to be a team effort thing. I'm not maybe that child that's gonna like be like, I'm all successful and look down on the parent type of thing. You realize we are different, and sometimes it's some people they cannot stand to see you particularly be the one to experience the pleasures and joys of success, and that's like they have to fight you on all angles. Because now people will go to certain people, like I've realized this spirit over and over again. People have a tendency of going to people I'm familiar with, and they coming with the spirit. It's recent, but it's a strategy, and it's like, oh, so I care, like, so okay, I care about you. And even if you've been through the worst, and or maybe you're like, okay, fine, I'm on my own, you learn to survive on your own, and you get a hang of it, and God is like, powers from beyond, or whoever who's with you, his presence is with you make it through. And people see like they think that you're somehow close to whatever finish line, and they want to come at you and be like, no, but you know me, I'm a part of you. It's not that you're denying people, but literally, if we come to the crux of it, and people are honest, people will know deep in their hearts we're not even gonna go there. So, but like, it's like crazy what people do to not see others succeed. It's crazy what fear does. Like, it's crazy what some people cannot handle pressure. Like, pressure is like them, and pressure, they're like, no, this can't be happening, not this again. That's why they almost dread every thought of just meeting someone who might just link them up to this season, that because it's too much for them to bear. But then, like, again, you have to be considerate of the fact that others have been through the most, their most, Gee, Honestly, there's nothing worse like having waited your turn and then for someone to mess it up. Like you've waited your turn, you've enjoyed, you've been through the most, and someone messes like come through and just mess it up. That's why in life, to some degree, sometimes having to wait is nonsense because you just don't know how anything could unfold. People can come with such reasonings, and it seems fine. Like if it's like if you wanna find grace, or you're looking for grace, or you're looking for solutions is one thing, but now having to feel that you have to do your part and then you want to get other parents in the whole same zone that let's do this, it's not on. Like it has gone too far, it has crossed the line. I don't know what to say about the situation, but I get very mind boggled. How can another human being want this for another? No, oh, you supposedly put through the same kind of challenges. Like, what in the world? So now you're going to go to that shrine, and shrine, and get yourself caught up, and then next minute we all have to go through the same thing. What the hell? Like, okay, fine, that's been what it is right now. We're going through the same thing, and the person feels like, no, you acting more vibey and vibrant more than us. What, you getting favors on the side or what? You're supposed to be maybe walking this way, or suppose you actually go through the very thing and you are prayerful, or you dance. I honestly dance when I've been through the worst. You dance and you look fine, and it's like, no, maybe you're getting extra favors, you've been told and whatnot. You pray, you get over the thing. They say don't look like your problems. Next minute you look like you look like them. It's a problem. You change, it's still a problem. People don't know what they want, and it's like, okay, you didn't experience this, so now we're gonna get you through the food. You just have to go through this process, otherwise you're a cheat on the basis of what covenant are you on? What I'm about to explain right now, it usually happens with people you like close to, you gravitate to so easily, you form a bond with, you were once close to, you just find them easily relatable, right? These are usually the certain situations that, like, this situation happens especially towards such individuals. In most cases, people who are for you and people have noticed it and they are very close and whatnot. And again, I've come to recall that it depends what kind of family you come from. So now, now I've been aware of certain dynamics of the people that I could refer or consider as family, and the dynamics are of a praying kind of people. And usually those kind of people, their challenges are a bit heavier. And by helping others, it's not even from an outward force, but by helping others, in helping others, sometimes people can see that, okay, this person was bound by such a spirit, and they help them through this spirit, but they know the amount of prayer and intensity it took to actually get rid of that spirit. And what happens is that as much as someone can aid a person and heal them, they archiving and they storing all these happenstances or awful and good in their long-term memory. And so what happens is that if a person could be offended by you or find you as a threat or find you whatever as whatever, like just in a position for whatever reason, whether it's position, whatever the case may be, they can restructure this very problem towards you, and they would know that you're going to have a hard time. Do you understand? As much as people can hear of a person of a certain thing, it can also be that very curse that they could have lurking in their head. And if they feel like they want to attack with something that's not very obvious that they're attacking with, but it takes a whole lot of strength, they can take it there. And now, if it's, especially if it's of an anointing of some sort, it's even heavier. That's why usually people who encounter certain challenges, you cannot just have any friend, any life partner, any kind of person. As much as we would gravitate towards them, it's better even you see them once in a while hang and just let them be. It's, you can't just have just anyone, because that means the kind of problems that come your way, if they're not steadfast and strong themselves spiritually, it will just fade, or it will not end well, or it will not happen, right? So the situation here is that if ever you find that you were once close with someone and they change on you, like with friends, especially best friends, girls or guys, those you have platonic relationships with, it's not that it's hectic. It goes there if you've been like close, very close. But most especially with like either a family member or most especially a lover, right? They change on you. Like the kind of change that, man, like no matter how you explain yourself, no matter how you break it down, no matter how you try, it is what it is. Know that this person has made a deep agreement, a deep oath, a deep, deep bond with someone, often someone that is connected directly to you. And so these people, usually it starts with the smaller things. Like it it starts with the smaller things. They start reporting what you say, stuff like that. And to some degree, you might not even catch on until you do. When you do, it starts being awkward. The distance, they keep the distance. And after the distance is kept, they're just occupied. And in this moments of occupation is with these people solidify these bonds. And so that when you meet, it's just awkwardness, right? And then, like, it's just difficult. Believe it, like, take my advice or word. It's not easy. You'll feel it in the moment, cry over them, do whatever, but just let them be, because these kind of people, if they are instructed to do something, they're going to do it. You understand? Now, you are now dealing with a person now who's given instructions. What they're taking is often so deep, it comes with benefits. It's other jobs come into the scene, privileges of things they wanted, or the promises of even a kid. Usually with my situation, it's kids. And it's almost like I'm caught between a rock and a hard, like Joe, like, you know what I mean? It's a rock and a hard place situation. It has to get that awkward. It's like they have to, but those kind of people just stay away. That's why sometimes people could be like, "You so lovey-dovey," or those people, you think I could never be broken apart with this. When people wanna, and usually like sometimes the agreements are sexual. Those people are one. So like, man, we'll never be broken apart. Blah 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 blah. That's why you could see a couple go from loving each other to someone like them separating or the worst happening. People are like, how? Soul agreements and deep bonds. That's how. God, it becomes so difficult. You just see this person being difficult. Leave them alone, because you're going to complicate your life. And it's sad because if it has to be a repetitive spirit. Maybe it happens when someone has taken offense or whatever they think you've done, which maybe might not even be the case. This spirit comes and revisit. It's almost like a paternal curse that just keeps visiting and reinforcing itself in different kind of relationships. Like, you could really as a person lose it. To what point, to what degree do I have to now let go every time? Like, let go, you have to let go, restart. You almost, it's a spirit of restart, and you have to restart. Do you understand how this person is like almost wanting to make you lose it? Basically, they just want to make you lose it. And it's possible if you're not anchored. No use only complaining. I think the only way to solve this is back to what I said. You can't just have anyone. It's either you're gonna be friends with people who are facing similar experiences, so that you know to have each other's backs and mercies on each other, or some people who are just prayerful. And I just hate this whole prayerful thing, because I'd like to believe God made us to live life. You know what I mean? And there's some people who can take away the joys of life, such as this. You can't always be praying. You know what I mean? There's a point where you pray and you direct, and you very intentional about the prayer request. God, I'm praying for such. You pray in it. You can pray in it for tongues, maybe for a week max, and then from there onwards, you wait on the answer. God made different avenues of life, different things in life. I mean, the whole world to be explored, to be lived. You can't always be praying. With my God, I don't like that's the kind of relationship I have with my God. You can't always be caught up in prayer mode. Like, no, you when you're a believer, or when you got fearing or you believe to be walking the walk of God, like I think of the generation that I'm going to bring a different flavor to this whole God human being relationship. God loves me as I am. I don't have to do anything. Like, you're going to know that I got problems. If I feel like it today, I'm listening to this track and it's like twerk, twerk, I'm going to do that. That's my relationship with my God. I'm living from grace. If you have to live from works, good for you. I'm not even going to try. God is great. God is perfect. I'm not. Right? I am not way close to perfect. That's my relationship with my God. So the people are reminded that people who feel like they've been given more to serve, that they're not immune from challenges, because I'd like to believe you're not supposed to be facing challenges all the time. Now, it's now people who've seen that you may be in the process of solving things, that they now continue, the different individuals that are throwing their problems at you. Not that I have a problem, they come at you and say, I have a problem. They make you go through it so that they see how you're going to solve it, type of thing. You can't always be praying. It's not life. You can't always be praying. There's life to be lived. I'm not that girl. Personally, I'm not that girl. It's not going to happen. I'm meant to live. It's I'm meant to live. I'm alive to live, and I want to experience. They say life and life overflowing. That's the aim. So these others who are believing, yeah, with God you have to always be praying. No, it's a lifestyle. What I'm under and what I know to be believing, it's a lifestyle. Jesus paid it all. I'm not Jesus. Like, as much as there's light, the sun for the day, and the darkness that covers as a blanket the night, I'm a human being. Like, you will know that I'm a human being. It's by grace that God will get me into order and be like, that conscience will speak to me and be like, this is wrong, you now going overboard. But I'm a human being and I have limits. By the way, Saturday, so yesterday I was out and about and I had people come, as usual, like come around me for some reason. As always, clearly this is not going to stop anytime soon. So fine. And then I recall back to the days where I used to, I not visit kinda or wait for my mom whilst at church, whilst her church was still elsewhere. And while sitting there observing in hindsight, I came to realize how many people, okay, like I've grown to like now be aware of this. Many people have people monitoring them, good monitorings and bad monitorings. So the bad ones are inactive if you're not doing anything offensive, but they just that intel on things that you do that are not right. And then the good ones are basically for you, what they would otherwise tell, or I don't know what the case is, but they wouldn't give out certain information, right, concerning you. They are for you. They're just backing you. If you had to be home at like a certain time to do a certain show, they would probably like make sure that that bus that's not supposed to leave you doesn't leave you, kind of thing, delays and they are for you on the positive side. Yeah. And then it hit me, and that's why so many times people who are of the word or who deliver people, most especially prophets or whatever, men of God or whoever the case may be, suffer a whole lot of opposition. Because, like, I'll go back to a word that will make sense for the now. And so there's that word that says, while you were being formed, or before you were being formed in your womb, I knew you. Like, okay, in the context of God is like he finds voice through us. So I take it is of a Lord, someone intangible form, human form. So they knew you in such a way that they knew how your parent looked like, either male or female, and they knew who you would most likely meet and who would they reproduce again. So everything is restructured to function as it were, maybe with certain changes as a result of breakthroughs and whatnot, but you are inclined to go through what those bodies have been through at a particular phase of time. Some of the events are going to re-unfold. And so when man of God steps into the equation, what happens is you are rebuking all of that, right? So now you are almost ruining a structured thing. You're ruining something that's very structured. Every challenge is every problem you encounter, believe it or not, no matter how holy looking or well proper your parents may look, they've been through some of those things. And everything has been structured to unfold in a certain nature, in a certain way for a specific reason, right? And so when you go and pray and you break this change and you change the patterns, it's like everything was already kind of planned. So like the dynamics are just a bit too much to deal with. So that's why I think the opposition comes in, because there's going to have to be a falling away for the restructuring to change. So that's where the battle comes in. So that's the thing. People are monitored, and monitored, not that they're in bondage as such, but it's of a result of choices and agreements made. Good, bad, away, not away. That's what it boils down to. People are monitored. Yo,